Good morning. I'm Jared Faltis, CPA with McMill CPAs and Advisors. And today we have two special guests, Paul Philmeyer with the Northeast Community College Vice President of Technology Services, and Nicole Sedlatchik with the MPPD Economic Development Manager. And we've done this presentation a couple times in front of people, and I guess they asked us to come back, which is interesting. So there must be some value to this presentation. So we thought, why not take the time to really just tell more of an audience, just really about crypto. There's been a lot of news, a lot of media, a lot of people don't understand it. And that's okay, because a lot of people don't understand it, even the people that are in the crypto business sometimes. So with that, we're just going to do just kind of an informal, yet we have some slides to show you, but really just explain the basics of crypto. We try to keep it somewhat neutral, just to try to explain what this is all about. I guess personally I have a little slant in my little piece, but Paul and Nicole do a great job of just keeping neutral and telling what's happening in the market. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul, and he's going to go over some of the basics of what crypto is.
So hi, I'm Paul Philmeyer from Northeast, and like Jared said, we try to keep it neutral, but we do have our own opinions, right? And so before I start on this cryptocurrency slide and talk a little bit about crypto, I want to start with a quick story, because sometimes a story can capture an audience and kind of bring things together. And it kind of, so I'm not a crypto expert. I'm more of a, call it more of a crypto junkie. And the reason I say that is, back in January 2021 is when I first got my start in the crypto world. I was working at home working at home during the pandemic, just a little bit on and off, and a friend called me around 10 o'clock in the morning, because I remember the exact time. And he called me and said, hey Paul, you got to get in on this. You got to get in on crypto, and you got to get in now. There's a crypto currency that's trending up. It's all over Twitter. And he's like, this currency is called Dogecoin. And I'm a risk taker, very, very high risk taker. And I said, well, what do I got to do? And he said, open up an account on an exchange or a brokerage and transfer some money over. And literally within 10 minutes, I had moved over the max amount of money, because that's how I am, the max amount that exchange would take at that time, and bought Dogecoin at around 2 cents a coin. And within a couple hours, the coin had gone up a cent or two. And I'll tell you, I started at $10,000. I just moved $10,000 over right away, because that's how I am. And within a couple hours, I was up a couple $1,000s, just like that. And it was time to let my wife in on the good news, because this guy's a genius. And so I told my wife a little bit about it, and she obviously had no idea really what it was, because I really didn't know what it was yet. Later that night, I was at close to 50 grand, just in, I would say, about 7 hours. And so it's time to start taking profits, right? Starting to take profits off that. Well, I was saying the same thing as everyone else was at that time. And with the Twitter feeds going and the publicity and marketing that was happening at that time, everyone else was trying to take profits too. And at that particular time, I had, when I was trying to put in sell orders, that is when the brokerage more or less crashed. It was massive overload of their systems. They couldn't handle the computing. They couldn't handle the users hitting their system. And so I couldn't get a sell order in. And so I was pretty much up all night long. Finally, the system came back online just enough to get a sell order in. And at that point, I was back down to, I would say, about $1,800 in profit, which to me, I was sick to my stomach, because I had just hit the cash cow there. So I slept on it, and obviously I was discouraged a little bit. Next morning, it was trending again. The next morning, a few hours later, it's trending. So why not? Fear of missing out. I jumped right back in. And apparently the crypto world knew that Paul had bought again. And so it immediately started going back down. And it was time for the game to end. And I walked away with $400 profit. So all that, so I say that because of how easy it is to get into crypto, but yet how volatile it is. And so since then, we've a group of a group of guys have formed a kind of a crypto research and analysis group that we drop ideas back and forth. And so that's kind of how I got started in crypto and how my teeth were cut very quickly. So I wanted to share that because it's a real world thing. While you can make money, you can lose it a lot faster, especially when you're on your own a little bit. You can't rely on a banker or a financial advisor. You're on your own. Okay, so I'll move into the presentation. I just thought that story was interesting, and there's not a lot of people that know that. So cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, it truly is, it's digital cash, and you can't see it. It's unlike a file on your computer. A file on your computer is digital, but you can print it off and you can hold it in your hand. With cryptocurrency, it truly is. It's on your computer, on your phone, and it is not something that you can hold. If you have the internet, you can transfer it, you can sell it, you can buy things with it. But it's built in the digital world. And Bitcoin is really the most popular one, and it's the one that really brought the cryptocurrency world to life. And while there are now, based on internet research, there's now well over 12,000 other altcoins out there, Bitcoin is still the one that really the market follows Bitcoin in many cases. So if Bitcoin is trending up, a lot of times the other altcoins are going to trend up as well. And the person who really, the claim to fame on who kind of created what we believe created Bitcoin, this person's name, which no one has ever uncovered who this person or entity or persons is Satoshi. He's the founder of Bitcoin, and no one has uncovered his true identity. So a few questions about crypto, and I'll just kind of walk through some of these because these are just some questions that a number of people ask, and some of it's elementary and some of it may not be. Difference between Bitcoin and an altcoin. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Everything else is an altcoin. Ethereum, Cardano, Litecoin, Blackcoin, Dogecoin. Those are all altcoins. So when someone is saying Bitcoin or altcoin, there's a difference. It's either Bitcoin or it's something else. Is crypto a stored value or is it liquid funds? Yes and no. It depends on if you convert it immediately to a US dollar. Or you can store it long term and let it ride. Let it ride similar to a stock where you may let that ride. It might go up and down. Are there crypto regulations? There are some regulations, and it's a little, I would say, all over the place. There's no single entity in the USA that oversees crypto. It's not like banking where there's FDIC insurance. There is a lot of legislative discussions happening in the different state governments, and there's a lot of proposals on the table to start getting their hands wrapped around it more. And there are a lot of discussions happening at the US government level. Is it a currency, an asset, or a commodity? It really depends on how you want to use it. It can really be something of all of them. Can we invest in crypto? You absolutely can invest in crypto. You need a brokerage or an exchange similar to like what many of you are probably very familiar with. TD Ameritrade or Schwab is some of them that I quickly throw out there. That is for the stock market. There's the alternative side. Crypto has many other exchanges as well. What do we need to know about IRS reporting? Profits and losses need to be submitted to the IRS. It's similar to a typical stock brokerages, but you're on your own. You'll get a mail, or you can download that electronically for a typical stock. With crypto, you are on your own, and you need to download your profits and losses on your own. Now there are websites out there that do help you, that you sign up and they can help you do some of that. But in the end, you need to download that. You need to get that information and you send that on to your tax person, or you may file your taxes on your own. Can we accept crypto as a donation? You can accept it as a donation. It's really up to your organization. You see this maybe in foundations more than any other way. And again, it's a tax event. Accepting crypto is similar to accepting land. You have to, it's a tax event. And you do need to report that to the IRS. which crypto should we accept if you did accept? You want to stick with some of the more popular ones. You want to stick with the Bitcoin. You want to stick with Ethereum, some of the more popular ones. You don't want to stick with, you want to stay away from some of the ones that are more for illegal use. Let's leave that to the black market and stay away from those. You can go ahead, Jared. Okay, this one's mine as well. So a little bit of comparison between the DeFi and traditional finance. So DeFi is short for decentralized finance. And crypto works really, it's really the opposite of how a typical bank works. So decentralized finance, it really harnesses the efficiency and the power of blockchain. And it creates a space for lending, borrowing, trading, saving, earning interest, et cetera, et cetera. This brings really the convenience to the peer-to-peer rather than the bank that you rely on. Right now, crypto is more of a peer-to-peer, where if I want to pay Jared for something, for maybe cleaning up the garbage that he threw in my lawn a couple weeks ago, I can send him directly to his crypto wallet, send it. So it's between me and Jared. There's no bank involved there. This slide was pulled from Ethereum's website. Again, another popular crypto out there. And you can really agree or disagree. It really depends on your stance on what, I don't want to say what side of the world you're on between traditional and decentralized finance. Again, DeFi is the peer-to-peer world. It's you hold your money, you are the banker, and traditional finance, the bank is the one who manages that. And it really takes minutes to send anyone in the world cryptocurrency. It doesn't matter where you're at, as long as you have access to the internet and you have a crypto wallet, soft or hard wallet, and that's an electronic wallet. You can send it anywhere you want. It's as simple as, I mentioned this earlier, I set up an account within 5-10 minutes and I haven't had it funded. It's not that fast in the traditional finance world. Cryptocurrency does not have a middleman. No charging on transaction tolls. If you need to wire money, from one bank to another bank, there's a fee to send that over. It might be a $50 fee, but in the DeFi world, you can just take that and send it directly, and there's no fee. It's between you and the other person. I read an article. A guy from Ukraine was trying to get across the border, and he was stopped carrying a suitcase full of money. Hard money, and it was seized. If he would have had that in a cryptocurrency, he would have been able to walk across, and he could have converted it to whatever fiat he wanted to. There's really no other faster and easier way to transfer and receive funds than with crypto right now. And let me see what else is on this slide real quick.
Really a comment, Paul. I don't know if you know that story about the guy overseas that he lost his hard drive and the password and so forth, and he's trying to buy the city dump. Can you talk about that? It's talking about the middleman, the bank being gone in that transaction. Kind of talk about what happened with that story. I thought it was an interesting story.
It is an interesting story. So if he would have had that in a bank, right, on the other side of things in traditional finance, if he would have had that in the bank, he would have had it insured, and he would have this. What Jared's mentioning is some guy had millions and millions, maybe even billions. I don't recall the amount, but in cryptocurrency, and he had it on his computer, and he threw his computer away, and it went to the dump. And that computer hard drive was worth millions, if not billions of dollars. And so he had, based on memory, he had hired people, like giving out rewards if they could find that hard drive, because he was out so much money. And on the other side of things, if he would have had that in the bank, he wouldn't be rummaging all over a massive dump, digging through garbage trying to find that money.
So that's kind of the con of not having, not con meaning con man, but the con of having this non-centralized, currency type of thing versus centralized.
Absolutely. And another thing that's been in the news in the past few months is Venezuela is buying up Bitcoin as much as they can. They don't really have a stable environment there. They're either going to be come away as big breadwinners, or they could go back to another Stone Age worse than where they're at today. It's pretty interesting. I do think I personally think that digital finance of some sort is going to be here in some way, shape, or form. I try not to be biased on these calls, but I do think there's a future there, especially with the way the world is changing. So and it's borderless. It's borderless. So that's another advantage. I don't think I'm not insinuating that there's not a place for banks. It's not at all what I'm saying. There's definitely benefits between both worlds. You can keep going. So you're starting to see these pop up in more and more places, not necessarily locally here in we're in Norfolk. I don't know where everyone is at today, but you're starting to see these pop up. They look like ATM machines where you can just go in and buy Bitcoin, and they focus more on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the high standing standalone type cryptocurrency. Bitcoin, you're now starting to be able to buy things with Bitcoin more and more, where you can go and you get discounts with Bitcoin. A few examples is the Miami Dolphins, they're accepting Bitcoin and Litecoin. Dallas Mavericks accept Bitcoin and will give a discount if you pay with Bitcoin rather than the US dollar. So you're seeing this. Expedia accepts it as well. Visa's current stance on cryptocurrency is right now they're investing in the consulting side of it. They are not they don't have any plans to hold cryptocurrency on its balance sheet. So it is interesting when you see some of these major players out there and where what they're doing. They're looking into this. They're really digging into this. They're listening to what's happening in the government. And another piece that you're starting to see a lot is there's a lot of credit organizations that are starting to offer crypto-linked credit cards. So you can get crypto bonuses and incentives and interest on crypto rather than gaining the typical 2 or 5% cash back on purchases. So I'll talk just briefly on this one. This slide came in here because we had kind of tailored this towards some of the education sector as well. And there's beginning to be more and more jobs linking to crypto. And here in Norfolk, there's an office here in Norfolk. Telcoin has a front office here in Norfolk, Nebraska, that they're hiring. And a lot of those jobs that I've seen are around security, cybersecurity, development. So I see a lot of security and development type jobs coming and being a high demand out there in the world of crypto. So the one thing with banking is you have good insurance, and you typically have a security plan, a cybersecurity plan. With crypto, you don't have that insurance, and you really have to rely on that crypto company that's holding your money. So Binance, Voyager, Crypto.com, or some of the different exchanges out there, you have to really rely that they know what they're doing and they have a good security plan and a security officer that has the protections in place to secure your crypto if you do hold it with one of those companies. I think this one's Nicole's.
It is, yes. So the adoption of using crypto is slowly rolling out there. So Bitcoin has been out there really since 2009, but it's been challenging to be able to spend your Bitcoin or your cryptocurrency anywhere. But there've been a number of companies that accept Bitcoin. We heard a little bit about Visa. We've heard about the Dallas Mavericks from Paul. But the companies that you see on the slide, so Tesla accepts Bitcoin. Elon Musk did stop accepting Bitcoin for a little while because he had some concerns over the energy usage that cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, takes to mine that. And we'll get into that mining piece in a little bit. But Microsoft and Dish Network are all major corporations that are accepting cryptocurrency. The bagel that you see on the slide, so this is my story. I have been just kind of, I've been introduced to cryptocurrency through, I work in economic development for Nebraska Public Power District, and I'll get into how I was introduced into this space. So I've been kind of this hobbyist kind of Bitcoin cryptocurrency person, and just soaking it up and kind of just learning as much as I can about it. And so of course I download the Coinbase wallet. I put a little bit of money into my wallet, but I'm watching it, you know, go up and down, mostly down lately. But what do I do with that after I have that, or how can I use that, or how is this going to be a system that people are going to, you know, how is Bitcoin going to replace the US dollar in terms of being able to go out and spend it? So I have spent a portion of my measly Bitcoin that I have. I don't have one full Bitcoin, but I have a very small, tiny fraction of Bitcoin. And I was able to buy a bagel with my Bitcoin at Big Apple Bagels in Columbus. So I ordered on their website. Their website took cryptocurrency. Interestingly enough, was not expecting that day. And I thought, well, heck, I'm going to try this and see if I can buy a bagel with my Bitcoin. And so that was my bagel from that morning. But you're seeing more and more companies try to really allow for Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, other tokens to be a method of payment as we're slowly kind of experimenting in this space. Paul's going to talk more about the evolution of the web and what we're seeing with that.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. Yeah, so where are we at in the world of how the web has changed? And this will only take a minute but I think it's important to know where we're at in the world as the web and the internet changes. So right now we're at Web 3.0. Web 1.0 was really around read-only websites, ads. It wasn't very useful yet. You could look things up, but it wasn't super useful. Then Web 2.0 came, and that's when you started seeing companies like Amazon. You can buy and sell. It's more interactive. You can do more things with it. You can cloud computing and social networks started coming around. And now we're at Web 3.0, and that is where decentralized data comes. That's where cryptocurrency comes. And that's where we're at today. And it's crazy what it was when the web first came out and where it's at today. But then there's future versions of the web that they have planned, Web 4.0 and 5.0, where it starts bringing in artificial intelligence. And whether you're on board with it or not, it's going to come and it's going to impact our worlds, and it's going to impact them greatly. And then Web 5.0 is going to even take it a step further, and it's going to be think of Siri and let's see, what's the other one? Alexa. They can tell by the sound of your voice, and if you're having a good day or a bad day, and they're going to be able to respond sympathetically or in an emotional state rather than in their monotone voice. So those are some of the things and Web 5.0 is really is kind of being labeled the emotional web. So it's going to be able to work with our feelings a little bit more. Interesting stuff. I don't know how much I love seeing that change so much, but it's coming whether we like it or not.
So as Paul mentioned, kind of the evolution of the web, really this cryptocurrency and the platform that it's on is really opening the doors to all of this future technology that we're seeing. And so, yes, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is really kind of that first layer, so to speak, to this next version of the web that we're seeing, but it's really opening the doors for a whole bunch of new technology around blockchain. And so while we're talking a lot about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin this morning, the technology that allows Bitcoin and those coins, digital currency to be there has really opened up a whole new avenue of different kind of disruptions in a number of different industries. So blockchain, the technology that the cryptocurrency sits on, is really allowing disruptions within the music industry, so that the artists really are getting the power back to them for their music. It's really kind of making this opportunity where the artist gets that power, gets their royalties and their dollars owed to them for their music. Beijing, so interestingly, China has banned all mining of Bitcoin, and while they've banned the mining of Bitcoin, they are trying to still utilize the technology of that blockchain that's out there to really do some interesting things in China. So blockchain is really here to stay, and what that looks like. We'll continue to see evolution with that, but we're seeing it disrupt not only the banking industry, but again, that entertainment industry, sports, transportation and logistics, our food industry. So Walmart has a tracking process utilizing blockchain to really kind of track the food from essentially the field to the shelf. So if there is a recall effort, or there's some sort of issue with that product, they're able to kind of track where it's been at from the field all the way to the shelf. And so we're seeing that technology evolve from there. So I've talked a little bit about the mining of Bitcoin and the mining of other cryptocurrencies. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital currencies use what's called a proof of work platform. And so with this, that's when you're needing a number of different computers or nodes all across this network that's really helping to validate all of these transactions. And these computers, these servers, are being rewarded by helping solve and these problems to help validate that transaction. And so when I mentioned Tesla and Elon Musk had stopped accepting Bitcoin for a little while because there was concern over the energy usage that it takes to create one Bitcoin, there is some energy usage that goes into that proof of work stake to create that Bitcoin, that one Bitcoin or that one Ethereum. So on the screen here, I'm just giving you some point of reference that a large grocery store will use about 40 kilowatt hours per square foot. A K through 12 school building is about 10, a hotel 12, but computer data processing operations that are mining Bitcoin can use oftentimes greater than 2,100 kilowatt hours per square foot. So they're pretty energy dense because they're needing to run their computers and processors. And so that's how me in the utility industry was introduced to Bitcoin and to cryptocurrency mining itself. We started getting some calls. I've led our data center strategy efforts, and we were getting some calls saying they wanted to place a data center into our service territory. They knew that we had low cost, reliable energy here, but the requests weren't matching up with what we were seeing from the hyperscale operators like Apple and Facebook and Google. They were telling me they could go into any empty building. They didn't need to be by an airport. They didn't need redundant fiber. They didn't need the dual feed for electricity, and they could shut off their load if we needed them to. So it was like this really weird, everything opposite of what we'd ever heard about a data center. And so started kind of learning more about the industry, and communities and are seeing some of the value that can be associated with a mining type operation. There are a small number of jobs that are created with these mining type operations. And what's interesting is that they can curtail their load. So we can, as the utility provider, if we have a system emergency or there's high market energy prices, and it would make sense for them to shut off their load to save money, they can just power down immediately to be able to reap those benefits, or in the case of a system emergency. So they really want to locate anywhere that it makes sense from a utility perspective. And so we've been on the map for a little while now. We started getting these calls in 2018, and here we are in 2022, still fielding at least a call a week of folks wanting to come to Nebraska because of our low cost, reliable energy. All right, next slide. This was one of the projects. So we do have a mining operation, a pretty significant sized one. We have a lot of smaller mining, kind of the hobbyist miners, I would call them. But we do have a really industrial sized miner located in Kearney, Nebraska. Kearney had a data center park that was a runner-up. They were kind of second runner-up, or they were the first runner-up for a Facebook data center project that ended up going to Altoona, Iowa. And so this site had a substation on site, had available land. It was actually right next to their solar farm that they have in Kearney. And so they had also a willingness from the community to kind of attract this type of project. And so this project, Compute North is a company name. They're a Minnesota-based company that has operations for mining in South Dakota, Texas, and then Nebraska, Kearney being home to their 100 megawatt facility. And so just to give you a little bit of reference, again, not knowing where you all might be located at, but this data center project park, they're a 100 megawatt campus. So 100 megawatt campus, if you're familiar with the city of Norfolk, excluding the new core facility, is about an 84 megawatt sized community. So this data center project being Compute North, 100 megawatt. So lots of servers, pieces of equipment that are mining Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital assets. Next slide. So why did Bitcoin come about? And so Bitcoin was really kind of that first digital token that we have all been introduced to. It did come to us. It was created. Paul mentioned a little bit ago about Satoshi. So it was created in 2009 on the heels of the economic recession that we had just experienced. And it was created, the white paper that was produced was created to really be this electronic peer-to-peer cash system. As we've seen, though, it's also attracted really curious investors as kind of a store of value currency. You know, can this digital currency replace the U.S. dollar? I'm convinced that I've told my children, they're 2 teenagers, that they will have digital money in their lifetime. I don't know if we'll convert in my lifetime yet, but I'm pretty sure by the time they'll experience that. El Salvador is currently has accepted Bitcoin as kind of their national currency, and so there's a lot of over 100 countries are exploring or piloting central bank digital currencies. Nebraska is unique in the sense, you know, I mentioned from a mining perspective. So I think Nebraska is becoming very crypto friendly in, you know, not only from a mining aspect, but we also did see our state senator, Mike Flood, introduce legislation that has passed that allows banks to be able to custody digital assets in addition to creating financial institutions dealing in digital assets. So Nebraska was the second state to introduce this type of legislation. Wyoming was the first one. So it really makes Nebraska really crypto friendly. And I like to say crypto nice. So a lot of it, you know, again, we've talked a lot about Bitcoin, the digital currency aspect of it. Paul and his evolution of the web kind of got into this. And then when I talk about kind of the Compute North type projects in Kearney with that 100 megawatt facility, there is a limited number of Bitcoin. In fact, I think the last Bitcoin is scheduled to be mined. I used to know this year off the top of my head, but I think it's like 2120 or something like that, maybe 2118. And so there's still quite a few years left to mine the last Bitcoin. But this platform, this technology is really opening the door to what some are calling the metaverse. And I feel like crazy psychic Susanna when I'm talking about the metaverse. But we're seeing some communities and some businesses really kind of jump right into this space. And so Walmart, for example, has filed some patents to be able to sell digital goods within the metaverse. McDonald's has also filed patents to be able to sell digital goods in the metaverse. Maybe you can, eat a digital Big Mac someday. I'm not sure. I sound crazy when I talk about it, but this technology is really opening the doors for that evolution of this web that is likely headed our way. Next slide, and I think that we take it to Jared now, right?
That's me. So I want to take it from the financial side, and I really appreciate Paul and Nicole joining the call because they're providing different angles on what crypto is. And I love this picture, Tales from the Crypt, as a joke. But what type of asset is this? And I think Paul was alluding to it, and so was Nicole. We're trying to evolve this into currency. The question is it currency or pure speculation? Is it an investment? What is this thing? And, as of today, I'm not saying it won't change for tomorrow, like Nicole's saying, our kids will be using this currency differently than what we're trying today. It's just a big experiment today. But, how is the asset behaving tells us really what direction is this turning into. Is it currency or speculation as of today? And so I go back to, and Paul and Nicole's heard this story 1,000 times, but I go back to the 1600s. Is it tulip mania? Tulip mania was the biggest speculative period of time when there was a special tulip bulb. Sounds kind of an interesting story. And prices drove up, and then all of a sudden the prices collapsed on this tulip bulb. So, that's just kind of the biggest speculative bubble that we have on record. And so really when you compare that to Bitcoin, and I took a fresh shot, so we're under 30,000 per Bitcoin. Look at that chart, maybe compared to the tulip. And if I go to the next slide, we did a presentation not too long ago. If it went up, I probably wouldn't show this picture, but so as of September 21st of 21, it was 63,000, and now it's below 30. Is that currency? If Nicole went to buy that bagel, then all of a sudden they say, you owe us double because the currency isn't there. That's not a stable currency, and that's why you're seeing in a lot of these third world countries. Unfortunately, that's their best alternative, even though it's got volatility like this. That's better than what their national currency is. And so just laying it side by side, especially recently, it's looking more and more like this tulip, and that's showing that it's more speculative today than it is currency. Not saying it can't change, but that's how it's behaving right now. To put in a big picture, so what this is showing on the left side is what Bitcoin is worth. Now this is as of December 31st of 2021, so it's decreased since then. Cryptocurrencies, like Paul said, there's over 12,000 of them. And this is in trillions. So cryptocurrency just in general was close to about 3 trillion in value. Now it's decreased quite a bit. Compare that to, at that time, the global stock market, 80 trillion worth, and then the bond market, 71 trillion. So, there's a lot of media hype. There's a lot of hype about crypto. But in comparison to stock values and bond values, it's really night and day as of 12/31 of 21. This chart is designed to just show you who is the dominant player in this top line. If you look, it's Bitcoin is this blue color. So back in 2013, Bitcoin pretty well dominated the market. They were about 100% of the market. And when it comes to all of those 12,000, as far as value, the 12,000 digital coins out there, as you can see throughout time, since these other coins got introduced into the market, the values decreased because people like Paul went to Dogecoin, if I said that right, some Ethereum, and those are the top players. So you can kind of see the values of those other coins jumping out compared to Bitcoin. But Bitcoin definitely is the dominant coin out there. Just a few quotes, I kind of threw it throughout time. Janet Yellen, if you Google the U.S. Treasury Secretary, that's the voice of the government when it comes to finance. She is constantly saying that we need to rein this in. And, the U.S. government is trying to rein this in. Mark Cuban, is holding part of his portfolio in Bitcoin. But also says it's maybe too slow and cumbersome to work as a currency. So it's kind of throwing out that speculative part of it. Yeah, really, I'm just following Janet Yellen just because really that's kind of where the federal government's kind of going to be leaning towards. And she's been open to the concept of crypto, but yet, they're wanting to rein it in, regulate it. When you regulate something that's decentralized, what does that do? Because you throw on rules to something that wasn't intended to have rules. What does that do to the value, or the, is it currency or is it speculation? Nicole talked about it too. So this is where it's confusing. So the federal government wants to rein it in, and the state legislatures are pretty well wanting that economic development piece to come to their state. They want to be the upfront state. Being crypto nice, I guess is, I love that term. So right now there's 153 pieces of cryptocurrency, and they're taking this legislation pretty well written from the crypto world, and they're embedding it in their laws and regulations, and they're passing them. So we're still unclear, how this is all going to play out, but every state wants to be in front of this and wants to get this economic development piece. So really how to measure value, and I guess that's an old picture of where crypto was, but it's another point that it went from 38 to 29,000. Where all this plays out, when I look at that building as an accountant, we can look at a cap rate, meaning like what is the return of rent, for that building, and then we can determine a value. We can look at that business inside of that building and say, what is your net income that you're driving? How much inventory do you have? And we can determine a value that could be sold. When it comes to crypto or Bitcoin, really Warren Buffett kind of talked about this at his annual meeting not too long ago, but it's just tough to derive the value. It's just, which I find that the most intriguing about this whole crypto, and that's why I kind of got involved in just studying about it, is because there's enough people that believe in this coin that determines the value. When there's nobody that believes in the coin, there is no value. And that's really what's interesting. But really, when you think about the US dollar, how far is that from the US dollar concept? Now, the only difference is the US dollar has taxpayers that support it. Bitcoin is just, it's just me and Paul have to believe in it to exchange that, or Nicole's got to believe in it, and Big Apple Bagel's got to believe in it to exchange that. So there's got to be enough people that believe in it to exchange this for currency. And I just constantly take pictures on my phone, and just to kind of, what were we thinking at that time? And this is a March 4th of 2021, so it was a year ago. And you kind of saw, what's been happening to Bitcoin since. But there's all kinds of predictions that it's going to hit 150. There's all kinds of predictions that it's still going to hit 150, and we just never know. But that's kind of that speculative piece, and that's the part that we worry about. Is if you treat it as currency, I'm all for it. If you treat it as speculation, then let's just make sure that, kind of like Paul did, if it's money that you can afford to lose, or, want to take a chance with, go for it. But don't put your life savings in it. Don't put your retirement in it. Just be safe with this money, because it is in that speculative category. And recently took this picture of, I love the Charlie Munger in the backdrop, but Warren Buffett said he had just a great quote about, if he could own all the farmland or own all the apartment buildings, hands down, he would pay 25 million for it. But when it comes to crypto, if they gave all the Bitcoin in the world, he wouldn't even pay 25 bucks. So just an interesting quote from one of the richest people in the world. And I recently got this. I just thought it was kind of funny. And if Paul can tell me what a fungible token is, maybe we'll have to do another class on that. But I just thought it was kind of funny on that. Paul, do you want to tell us what a fungible token is? Is that speculative?
I'll go as far as I dabbled in the NFTs a little bit, and that has not gone well for me either. There's nothing you can hold again, and just like what Jared's saying, it's very similar to cryptocurrency. It's very speculative, and my son researches all this stuff, and he said, "Dad, this is going to make you some money." So I took a chance on my son's advice. Like I said, if someone ever says that I'm not a risk taker, they are so wrong. I take chances.
Well, and to give Paul credit, we joke behind the scenes. He knows my feeling on Bitcoin and things like that. And Paul's really doing it, to educate it. I did Bitcoin as well, just to educate myself on, what is this, using Coinbase, just to get familiar with what are people using. And I don't think that hurts anything to just understand the process, inside and out. And same thing with Nicole. It'd probably take me about 3 hours to order a bagel using cryptocurrency, but hats off, you got it done, and looked like it was a good bagel. So really just comments for today. Not saying that these are my opinions, I guess, can't change for tomorrow, but really, when you think about it, local banks have a form of crypto. It's ACH and wires. Now the difference is, you go through a bank, that's that middle person, and that's what crypto is kind of taken away. And it's because of that 08 crisis, they wanted to, decentralize, currency, and that's why the third world countries are embracing it and things like that. State legislatures, that's something to watch. Watch the media when state legislatures pass this, because I find it intriguing. It's giving credence, I guess, to this crypto more and more by the state stepping in. But I always kind of come back to the federal government and the mighty dollar. The U.S. government is the top dog in the world, and the U.S. government is not going to want to let their currency go. So they're going to do whatever it takes to rein this thing in. The question is, can they rein it in without, having other people do their own thing? Nicole brought up China. I just read an article right before this call. China banned the mining, but what the article was saying is that there's so many people in China still mining illegally, and still believing in that crypto and the Bitcoin. So that's the question: can the government rein it in enough with regulations to strip the fun out of crypto? And really, that's my last comment. So with that, I know we had a chat box, and I'm not sure if I can see some of that. Lan, I don't know if there's any questions. I don't think I've seen any.
No questions.
Okay. So either we explained it so well or we confused everybody. But with that, I don't know, any last comments, Paul or Nicole, at all?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it. It's always interesting. I learn something every time I present with you and Nicole.
Yeah, also want to say thank you for joining us and allowing me the opportunity to share kind of what we're seeing, and just from that economic development perspective. It's an interesting space, and I think I think there will continue to be lots of more ups and downs and evolving that we'll see with cryptocurrency and digital assets. I guess one thing I didn't share, I talked a little bit about the Nebraska legislation that Flood had introduced, but earlier this year, President Biden did issue the executive order to kind of take a look at digital assets. And so I know I mentioned the 100 or so countries that are exploring central bank digital currencies, but the federal government, and I know Jared kind of in some of his headlines had kind of spoke to this, but they are taking a look at specifically digital assets, cryptocurrencies, really to be able to protect US consumers and investors and businesses, kind of to also protect global financial stability and risk. They are also looking at it from a sustainability energy aspect of it. And then also just to make sure, where China's banned it. So why is China banning it? But then, we did see a huge influx of once China banned it, the US was, and specifically a lot of utility companies started to get a lot of phone calls from Chinese miners wanting to bring their machines over here. And so the executive order will also take a look at, ensuring that responsible development and use of digital assets and looking at it from that future technology aspect of it. So while the executive order didn't say a whole lot, I think it is good that the federal government is studying it. Maybe it's good, I don't know. No, it does need to be studied. But then when you talk to the folks in the space, in this industry, they are welcoming this order because they feel that it will help give a little bit more understanding, maybe some legitimacy to cryptocurrency and the mining aspect of it. So just 2 cents there on that.
Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar. I appreciate Paul and Nicole's time, and we're just trying to share information, and I think it hopefully encourage everybody to just keep reading on it because we're all learning. It's a huge experiment going on, and it doesn't hurt to stop learning, I guess. So with that, thanks everybody, and we'll have a great day.